Hello, welcome back to Teacher Online Media, and today we continue with our problem solving program, and today we're going to have a discussion based on one literature question, especially for the advanced level education students who study English language, specifically English language 2. And the question to be discussed today reads, this question demands to discuss the themes of leadership and selfishness as portrayed into novels that you have read under this section. Bear in your mind that this question was tested in NECTA 2011 for school candidates. Once again, the question reads, discuss the themes of leadership and selfishness as portrayed into novels that you have read under this section. Welcome. Now, as far as the introduction of this question is concerned, we're going to start by identifying some key terms that are found in this question, and some more important key terms that must be defined include leadership and selfishness. Well, leadership is the act of some people being given power to lead and guide others politically, socially, and economically. Remember, leaders are the ones who are given the authority, the power to rule and guide people in a certain sector, in a certain position, but the intention is to lead a majority. Another key term is selfishness. What is selfishness? Selfishness is the situation where people are more interested with their personal affairs than the society in terms of fund and properties. Failure to think about others and think about oneself. Failure to remember others when it comes to resources and some other related matters. That is what is referred to as selfishness. Dear listeners, the themes of leadership and selfishness will be discussed by using two novels, namely A Man of the People by Chinua Achebe and The Beautiful Ones Are Not Yet Born by Kwei, Armah. Listeners, in A Man of the People, the theme of leadership has actually been portrayed by Chinua Achebe as something which is full of corruption. Here goes the first point as far as the main body is concerned. Leadership has been portrayed by Chinua Achebe as something which is full of corruption. This is actually seen when the leadership of Chief Nanga and the other ministers seems to be full of corruption. This happens when Chief Nanga bribes the journalist by giving him £5, 2 bottles of beer, and a lot of cigarettes so that he may not expose his evils in the newspaper. This can be proved when Chief Nanga says, if I don't give him something to if I don't give him something today, tomorrow he will go and write rubbish about me. So this is an indicator of corruption. The second point, the leadership portrayed in this novel is the type of leadership which is full of dictatorship. This is seen when the Prime Minister dismisses all the highly educated ministers simply because of going against his order of printing 15 million pounds so as to give to the coffee planters, while the price in the world market has actually gone down. This refers to what happens in most of African countries, where dictatorship makes most of the African countries to be underdeveloped. The third point is that the leadership portrayed in this novel is full of lies, hypocrisy, and propaganda. And this is seen when the Prime Minister uses lies, hypocrisy, and propaganda to win the support of the people after dismissing the highly educated ministers. In this novel, the Prime Minister uses the mass radio and the newspaper to tell people lies that the highly educated ministers were conspirators and traitors who teamed with foreign countries to overthrow the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Remember, these lies and propaganda make all people, even the university students, like Odiri, to support the Prime Minister, to support the Prime Minister's decision without knowing the truth. Remember, lies, hypocrisy, and propaganda done by authoritative leaders has actually been very common. It has actually been the living water in the state we live today. And this has been a major obstacle towards development agenda. So this should highly be discouraged in case the state wishes to prosper and develop. The next point states, leadership portrayed in this novel is the leadership which is oppressive and humiliative. This is seen when Odiri is oppressed by Chief Nanga, who is the minister, by being beaten until he becomes unconscious. Odiri is also dismissed from his job because of contesting the same seat of parliament with the Chief Nanga. This shows that most of African leadership is full of oppression and humiliation. The next point is that selfishness as the second thing has also been portrayed in this novel, A Man of the People, when Chinua Achebe in his novel portrays leaders like T.C. Kobino, who does not like to construct the road from Giligili to Anata, simply because it does not belong to his province. So this is an indicator of selfishness. He thinks about his own province and forgets some other provinces like Anata. This shows selfishness of most of African leaders, which eventually make those countries to be underdeveloped because they lack good roads, good and reliable roads. The next point here states selfishness is also seen when Chief Nanga receives a dash from one of the European buildings firm of Antonio and Sons, after giving them the tender to construct an academy of science and arts. Chief Nanga uses this bribe to build 4-storied building and such. Back to the contemporary African countries, such selfish leaders exist, and this actually makes most of projects in most of African countries to be done poorly and hence endangers people's lives. Another point, selfishness is also seen when Chief Wagada is more interested with himself rather than the society or government. This is seen when he sells the secret of increasing the import duties of certain textile goods from abroad. This actually makes the British amalgamated to bring 3 shiploads full of textile goods in December before the new import duties have started to be used. Dear listeners, this has also been very common in the society we live, and it has hindered the development. Another point is that selfishness is also seen when the ministers such as Chief Nanga and T.C. Kobino use the government fund to build very expensive houses. For instance, Chief Nanga has got his own street known as Avenue, while T.C. Kobino has constructed 10 houses. This is proved when Jeannie says, "Those 10 houses belong to the Minister of Public Construction." Listeners, selfishness, which is done by most of the African leaders, makes the people to live poorly. On the other hand, Kwei Armah, in his novel The Beautiful Ones Are Not Yet Born, portrays the issue of leadership as well. The leadership portrayed in this novel is bad leadership, which is full of corruption. This is seen when the leaders, such as Joseph Kumson, uses the government fund to buy very expensive fishing boats. This bad leadership of Joseph Kumson makes some people like the man and the old woman to live poor life and fail to get their basic life necessities like food. Back to the contemporary society, corruption of leaders has been the major bottleneck when it comes to development. So this should hardly be discouraged. Leaders in position should stop giving and receiving bribes, should stop misusing the office for personal gain. Another point, the leadership portrayed in this novel is the leadership which is full of exploitation. This is seen when Joseph Kumson uses his power to exploit poor people like the man's family. And this is seen when he makes partnership with man's family so as to buy the very expensive fishing boats by using the man's family's name. However, he actually refuses to share the profit which is obtained from the business. Such leadership, which exploits people, is actually not good. It is supposed to be overthrown. Another point, the leadership in this novel has also been portrayed as something which is full of betrayal. And this is seen when Joseph Kumson betrays his party by buying and owning very expensive fishing boats, contrary to the principles of socialism. Such betrayal, which is done by most of African leaders, is the source of poverty in many of African countries. So this should highly be discouraged so to ensure sustainable development. But also, selfishness has also been portrayed in this novel by Kwei Armah, and it is seen when the leaders such as Joseph Kumson use the government fund to build very expensive houses known as bungalows and buy expensive cars like limousine. Such selfishness done by the leaders make people like the man and or the woman to live poorly and hence fail to meet their basic needs such as food. Therefore, selfishness is the source of poverty in most of African countries. Another point, selfishness is also seen when the school bursar uses school funds for his own benefit, and this makes the students to protest it by writing the letter of complaint to the Ministry of Education. This makes the students to be dismissed from the school, which causes a lot of chaos, which eventually makes the school to be closed. So this shows that selfishness is the source of oppression and chaos in most of African countries. Generally, leadership and selfishness go hand in hand in most of African countries. Most of African leadership is full of selfishness. And that is why there is a lot of dictatorship, exploitation, betrayal, and corruption. The leadership which is full of selfishness causes most of African countries to be overthrown. Remember what happened in Ghana after independence, the overthrow of Nkrumah's regime, which actually was full of corruption, and some other countries, in Africa, coup d'etat has actually been very common, and some reasons behind include irresponsibility of leaders. Thank you very much for your attention as far as attempting a discussion of this question is concerned. Subscribe to this YouTube channel in case you wish to have some more related questions and lessons. Thank you.